Ah, Lewis Hamilton, the most decorated driver in Formula 1's history. 7 titles, most poles and most wins are just a few of his achievements. He has scored these numbers driving for 3 different teams, and you'd think it was a blessing to have him around. Well, what can I say? The truth is that he disrupted every team he joined, which led to a lot of chaos. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. The year is 2006 and Fernando Alonso is set to join McLaren for the 2007 season. He's a 2-time world champion by then, and everyone involved is very excited to have this great experienced driver at the Woking team. McLaren had just made a deal with Vodafone for a huge sponsorship, which freed up a lot of money for development. Fernando Alonso said the following about this move. I'm very excited about 2007 and the fantastic opportunity to drive for Vodafone McLaren Mercedes. It will be a new beginning for me and a tremendous challenge. And from what I've heard about this exciting new partnership, there is something to look forward to. His new boss, Ron Dennis, was also very excited. He said, "It's great that our strong belief and the strength and competitiveness of the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes package has been further endorsed by the world champion." Little did he know that he'd be in a world of trouble soon. That season, 2006, Kimi Raikkonen and Juan Pablo Montoya were the drivers at McLaren, and it looked like one of them could stay. But Ron Dennis had different plans. Montoya left Formula 1 altogether to race in NASCAR, and Kimi Raikkonen replaced the great Michael Schumacher at Ferrari. So Ron Dennis put 23-year-old Lewis Hamilton forward, who had just won the GP2 series. GP2 is what we call Formula 2 now. Ron Dennis was a bit of a sugar daddy to Lewis Hamilton, who had him in the junior program since he was a teenager. I believe Anthony Hamilton didn't have any more bills to pay from that moment onwards for his son's racing career, so it made sense to put him forward, especially since 23 isn't really that young, seeing how young other drivers are making their debuts now. Fernando Alonso couldn't believe he was paired up with a rookie instead of a more experienced driver. So he had the gall to ask Ron Dennis if he didn't want to win the Constructors. Now, Ron Dennis is a peculiar man. Everything that I've read about him points that way. From demanding every office to be grey, which Adrian Newey ignored, to not being able to handle any form of criticism. Ron Dennis was pissed off at Fernando Alonso for doubting his judgment. That set the tone for the rest of the Spaniard's stay at McLaren. Basically, Lewis Hamilton's signature at McLaren already disrupted the relationship between Dennis and Alonso before the season had even started. When they got racing, it turned out that Hamilton was amazing. He kept scoring podiums and scored a win very early in his career. Now, it has to be said that in the garage, everything was done to look after the young Englishman, which frustrated Alonso, who was hired as a world champion, and he was promised number 1 status. He ruined that by asking Dennis why he had hired a rookie, so they didn't get along, and in Hungary that year, Hamilton was supposed to let Alonso through during qualifying, as was the agreement, as qualifying was different then, and Alonso carried more fuel to do an extra lap. Hamilton didn't obey this agreement and went first, to which Alonso retaliated by not driving away when McLaren double stacked them at the pit stop. He waited, and by the time he left, Hamilton couldn't set a time anymore. I think that was fair. Hamilton had a 1-up on Alonso, and he made it even. Well, Ron Dennis didn't see it that way. And to show how much he didn't support Alonso, he told the FIA about it, and Alonso got a 5-place grid drop. What the f***? This had nothing to do with the FIA. Anyway, things got worse after that, because there was also Spygate in the background, and Alonso tried to keep at least his own engineers on his side by sharing his winnings in envelopes, which Ron Dennis put a halt to. Alonso never stood a chance, and as it turned out, nobody won anything that season. McLaren was disqualified, and Alonso and Hamilton cost each other so many points, Kimi Raikkonen won the title. It's believed that in the last race that season, the team were so busy hampering Alonso, they forgot about Hamilton, and he spun into the gravel. I have to respect Lewis Hamilton for joining a team as a rookie and then being this fast straight away and fearless. He was aggressive and almost won the title in his debut season. As you can see, Hamilton's debut already brought chaos in an already chaotic time for McLaren. This would happen again when he joined his next team. In 2013, Lewis Hamilton left McLaren to join the Mercedes F1 team. Ross Brawn had been carefully building up the team after he won both titles as Brawn GP in 2009. A new set of regulations was introduced in 2014. And it has been said that Mercedes was already working on the hybrid engine as early as 2007. Hamilton replaced Michael Schumacher, who had made his return to the sport in 2010. He said he had a nice time in the 3 years at Mercedes, but he didn't achieve what he hoped he would. The other driver at Mercedes then was Nico Rosberg, Hamilton's best friend in the junior days. He said, "Very cool that Lewis Hamilton will be my new teammate. Gonna be another great challenge." Well, a great challenge it would be, especially for Nico Rosberg, but more about that later. Niki Lauda had convinced Hamilton to join, and the $100 million contract was too good to resist, even if McLaren had a better car at the time. Ross Brawn left the team around that time as well, because Lauda and Toto Wolff got Mercedes shares, and that's not how he wanted to work. This is how Toto Wolff became the main man at Mercedes. Well, the short version anyway. 2013 went alright at Mercedes. They did a bit of illegal tire testing, and then they were ready for the 2014 season. It turned out the hybrid engine they had been working on was so strong they ran it in idle mode to not raise suspicions from the FIA. They didn't want a TD pegging them down to the teams with slower engines. The only thing Hamilton had to do then was beat his best friend Nico. And he did in 2014 and 2015. Rosberg got tired of losing, and the two fell out over everything teammates can fall out over. This was the time of the Silver War. Rosberg and Schumacher had been pretty harmonious together, but Hamilton disrupted the peace at Mercedes and commanded all the attention from the team. See, the best drivers in the history of F1 have always been able to do that. Grab the team by the balls and organize things the way they want them. Rosberg understood this and developed a plan, a new way of living to make sure he was best equipped for the 2016 season. The Silver War was upon us. Rosberg stopped sleeping with his wife to get better sleep, had mental help, and indeed managed to beat Hamilton that season and promptly retired. Bottas took his seat and things got calm again. In 2021, Hamilton lost the title in the last race, and that must have hit him hard. He lost his commanding voice in the team because they hired George Russell, who started beating Hamilton, whereas he actually wanted Bottas to stay. At the start of 2024, a massive story came out. One that shocked the world of F1. Sir Lewis Hamilton was about to disrupt another team in 2025. John Elkann and Benedetto Vigna came out with the brilliant plan to hire yet another older world champion. They did so with Alonso and with Vettel, and it didn't really help them then. They saw a great marketing opportunity and hired Lewis Hamilton, who didn't get the deal he wanted at Mercedes. Fred Vasseur agreed on the decision too, as he had worked with Lewis Hamilton before. To make sure Lewis Hamilton could make his dream come true to win an 8th title, they overhauled the 2024 car by 99%. Even if that car narrowly missed out on winning the Constructors' title. Now almost halfway through the season, things have turned sour. Hamilton isn't gelling with the car, is slower than Charles Leclerc, who was most likely not thrilled to have lost Carlos Sainz, even if he won't admit it. And after every race, the media is hanging on Hamilton's lips to hear what he has to moan about now. He suggested that his car had a deficit to Leclerc's, but we saw no improvement after that was fixed. The pressure on Ferrari to perform has increased so much that now that Hamilton is there, rumours are floating about that Fred Vasseur will be sacked. And seeing how the team bosses before have fared, this could easily be true. Hamilton has a weird relationship with his engineer Adami, where they are both totally not understanding each other. Places are being given to teammates and taken back, which frustrates both drivers, and overall it's a mess. After the Canadian Grand Prix, where he ran over a groundhog and it caused damage, so he finished 6th, he said, Of course I'm asking for these things. I don't know why we haven't been bringing upgrades. I think we have one, hopefully coming soon. The mindset for me, I'm that there's a lot of changes that need to be made in the system. I wish I could tell you what's happening. There's a lot going on in the background. Yeah, I can't say too much about it. There's so many things I wish I could tell you that could explain the things that have happened this year, the problems we had, and what's going on within the organization. This is a bad signal, I think. This is the politician Lewis Hamilton carefully pushing a narrative. I believe that he's trying to get hold of the team and its development, to at least beat Leclerc. See, Hamilton is not afraid to have an internal fight. We've seen that at his previous teams. He feels it would be better if certain things went differently and the people who stand in his way should go. It might sound incredibly negative what I'm saying, but I actually respect it. I'm not one to shy away from conflict either if I think it's in the best interest of me or my business. It's how the world works. Charles Leclerc is doing his own bit as well. He said he's no longer following Hamilton's setups and is running his own plan now. He's also fighting for his own position here. There are also rumors about him being disgruntled with how things are going. And that's ever since Hamilton disrupted the team with his arrival. Now, before I hear comments like
Ferrari has always been a mess,
I realize that all too well. But the end of last season looked good. I wouldn't have changed a thing except for some performance upgrades on the car. Ferrari is more chaotic than ever, and I'm sure that's not the right way to prepare for the 2026 regulations. They need to build that foundation now. Lewis Hamilton thinks he can help with that. He said, but my goal is to try and positively influence. Try and get change so we can have long-term success. There are a lot of changes that we need. For me, it's that foundation building. We're not fighting for a championship. Okay then. Look, maybe I'm completely wrong here. Maybe Hamilton will push Ferrari to change from within, and some people will lose their jobs to get there. Maybe we'll see a championship winning team in the new regulations. A team with a great strategy and a great car where the drivers work as a team. I have to be honest here. I think we'll get even more chaos, and after 2026, Hamilton will be so disillusioned that he'll retire. And that will be that. I just hope it won't have disrupted Charles Leclerc's future too much, because he's always been loyal to the Maranello team and I want him to win a title. What do you think? Subscribe. Take care now. Doei doei. And Alonso got a 5th place grid drop. And its development. Oh, you